Hi everybody, it's me, it's Striker Star 19. You might notice that July has been a little dry for uploads lately, and J July's just been kind of a wacky month. I just haven't had a lot of time for making videos, and some of that is for good reasons, and some of that is for kind of upsetting reasons. If you know me, you know I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't want to concern you guys. But I'm not gonna be able to work on videos, I think, until August really kicks in. And I've got so much cool stuff planned. Don't even worry about it. But I didn't want to just leave you guys hanging, so I just needed to put something together, kind of quick and easy. And what I've really been wanting to do is talk about my Disneyland trip. I took a trip with my best friends, and I visited, Will of West Coast Toast and Roast fame. I went to go visit him, and we did Universal Studios, which was phenomenal and cool. We also did Disneyland, and something I thought would be kind of cool would be to quickly off script review every Disneyland ride. What you might not know about me is that I was a Disney World kid through and through. And even at that, I haven't been in a long time. We did Disney World a lot when I was a kid. I don't think I've been to any Disney park since I was like 6. I have not been in a long time. So I've just got a list of the Disney, and we did everything, to my knowledge. We might have, I guess this list will tell all. I'm going to talk about each ride and power rank them, tier them, if you will. So we're starting in Adventureland, and this document has first listed Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room. So this isn't really a ride, I guess. It's more of a show, and it's cute. This is like a solid B tier. I think if you're visual effects wise, those puppets are fine. It's not the most impressive animatronic at Disney. I think the prettiest thing about the Tiki Room is probably the fountains when those start going, and the song is catchy. I can still remember it, the Tiki 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 Room. The sad thing about the Tiki Room is that it made me think of the Country Bears. And I turned to my friend to Will, and I'm like, Will, is there still a Country Bear Hall here too? And apparently not. They've been replaced by another bear, and I'll never forgive them. Because I loved country bears in Florida. But I don't know if they hold up. Maybe it's been a while. We watched the Country Bears movie to mitigate the experience, and it didn't scratch that itch. Wonder if they'd make a Tiki Room movie where the birds are like washed up celebrities or something. Anyway, next on my little list here is Jungle Cruise, and this is an old classic. This is probably what I'd say as a kid was my favorite, because I believe it's also in World, and we did it a lot there. And it still holds up. I think that I don't know if the guide has like a script per se, or if they're allowed to improv a bit. I couldn't really tell you, but the Jungle Cruise guide has always been my favorite like role at Disney. I think if I had a job at Disney, that would be like my dream little nook would be to be the Jungle Cruise guide, and it still holds up. I was always impressed by the implied death on this ride, where you see all kinds of like abandoned camps and cars that presumably the denizens of the jungle have taken, or maybe they just ran off and it's goofy. Like the monkeys rocking the car back and forth, there's little piranhas. Jungle Cruise holds up. It's very quaint. It's still, for something that used to be my favorite, I think it goes to show just how much I've grown, because I think it's a B tier. Indiana Jones. And this one's cool. You get, I believe it's mostly inspired by the third Indiana Jones movie. And this one, I think this one's pretty cool. If you're wondering why I'm stammering a lot, for some reason what's going on is that we went to Universal Studios a mere 2 days before we hit Disney, and my memories of Indiana Jones are like conflating with my memories of the Mummy ride at Universal. Why aren't I doing a Universal ranked? Because it's a small handful of rides, and I think even though the Simpsons ride might be my favorite amusement park ride, like, ever, that might be the only really, not that I love Universal. There's aspects of Universal I like more than Disney. I don't want to sound like I'm being, like, a hater. But I think Disney's just has a little more to kind of stack up and talk about. So yeah, Indy, I guess, considering I'm mixing it up with the Mummy as I imagine it in my head, maybe it didn't leave that great an impression on me. New Orleans Square. Pirates of the Caribbean was closed, unfortunately. We did not get to ride that one, so I cannot rank it. The Haunted Mansion was very cool. Another bit of context to my experience with Haunted Mansion is that the simple matter that I was a total chicken shit when I was a kid. I did not like scary rides at all. So if something looked too fast or too intense, I was like, nope, not for me. And my folks would encourage me to get on rides, and my like, Haunted Mansion I remember doing, and I would cover my eyes the entire time. So even though I've been on Haunted Mansion, this is my first time truly experiencing Haunted Mansion, and I'm super glad I did. I think the craftsmanship of this one is beautiful. The characters are super cool. I think my favorite part is that big old ballroom. All the ghosts, just spinning around and dancing. They do some cool stuff with the stretching out foyer. I'm not telling you much you don't know. Haunted Mansion rules. I think that's an A tier. Um, Disneyland Railroad. So is this? I'm gonna search this live because I'm a professional. Is this the Casey Jr. train or is this the one that's like transport? I guess not. Okay, so this is the one that takes you across that big canyon, and it's a very pretty view. I like this one a lot. Is this the one where you see dinosaurs though? I'm the one who went to the park. I should know this before I fucking record. Um, or is that the subway? There's a lot of. It's not my fault. There's a lot of trains at Disney. I'm gonna type in Disneyland Railroad. Okay, yes. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the one where you pass through those cool dinosaur animatronics, and that came out really well. Love a good choo-choo. You get to see some beautiful sights. A tier. That's a solid A tier. So I see Davy Crockett Explorer Canoes on here, and I don't think we did that one. So we're in Critter Country now. I don't think I would have forgotten such a thing. Davy Crockett. Is this just like... Huh. Okay, so this isn't a ride so much as it is an activity. I don't think we bothered with this one. So I'm sorry, Davy Crockett fans. This brings us to the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Okay. Oh, man. So here's a little sad. Like I said, I was a little sad that this one, I had a bone to pick that this took the place of Country Bear Hall. Ultimately, this is a pretty good one. This is one of a small handful of rides that are recreations of movies with animatronics in a dark ride style. And I think this one isn't quite as good as some of the others that we'll get to. Mostly because I love me some Winnie the Pooh. It's maybe just not the most exciting movie to relive in a ride. I think my favorite part of this one is the Heffalumps and Woozle animatronics. Especially, I love the animatronic of the Heffalump with its trunk covered in honey and it stretches out like a harp. This one's fine though. I think the other dark rides with animatronics are a little better. It's in no way bad. I'd give it like a I stuck between B and C. I might stick it into C just out of bitterness for Country Bear Hall. I miss them. I miss the bears. This brings us to Splash Mountain. Oh man, this is Splash Mountain. It's like the famous Disney ride for being kind of a bit much. I never did it as a kid. Like I said, if something was too much, it was like, nope. And I just have this very distinct memory of people wearing t-shirts of Mickey just like drenched and drying out his shorts, and it says like, I got drenched at Splash Mountain, that whole thing. So this is my first time doing Splash Mountain, whole hog, and I loved it. I think it does, the however aged Song of the South decorum really well. Those animatronics are great. And then that drop is just like super exciting. We all had a great plan for when we wave to the camera as we're about to fall down like a cartoon character. Splash Mountain rules. Yeah, A tier. A tier. All right. Frontierland. All right. So we've got Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which is just a very solid ride. I think of like just like the ones that are a straight up fast moving roller coaster. This was probably my favorite. It like my favorite thing to do when I ride a roller coaster that's fast and I get a little scared is I just pretend it's Mario Kart. And this felt most like a Mario Kart track. And I was able to, it was kind of my copium. It feels like Mount Wario or something, or one of the Wario Mountain Gold Mine levels. There's some cool, like, animal animatronics, if I'm not mistaken. This one rules. A tier. The Mark Twain Riverboat, again, I almost feel that's more of an activity than a ride or attraction. It moves real slow. You get to see some cool stuff, though. I think it's a very pretty little riverboat. No notes, B tier. There's something here that says Frontierland Shooting Exposition, which I don't think we did. Sorry. And then Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer Island. That doesn't sound familiar to me either. I wonder if that's just gone. When I look up, yeah, we did not do this. I wonder if it was closed that day. Sorry again. Let's see. Sailing ship. Maybe we didn't do. I could have sworn that we made a thing of doing every ride. Maybe just like, I don't know. If Will was here, he'd be able to clarify a few things. We didn't really do like the smaller rides at Mickey's Toontown either. I want to assure you all, we made use of fast passes and went from open till close. So if we skipped a ride, it was not out of like, it was not out of lack of wanting. We just did what we could in the time allotted. I would have liked to have seen more of Toontown, maybe some other day. I have a lot of nostalgia for something to the effect of theater. I don't know if they're in Florida. There was like a big quilt theater with like old cartoons playing and a roller coaster connecting in. I wonder if that's also in California. I'm not positive. I'd love to see that again. I get a feeling that maybe in Toontown. This takes us to Fantasyland, which looks like it has the most rides, though we might have picked and chosen a bit. Alright, so it's a small world, which is the one that everyone dreads, but I found it perfectly nice. I like Small World, you know. I think, oh, the song is annoying. It's perfectly catchy. I can see, like, maybe if you live and it's a small world, sure, it gets annoying, but, you know. I feel like it's kind of a Scrappy-Doo thing, where one person got annoyed by it, and we all just kind of pretend now. I don't know if this is necessarily by design, or just by my experience, but Small World happened in our trip very late in the day, and I was just, like, kind of hot and a little tired, and something about Small World was just very refreshing. We were indoors in the shade, I was on the outside seat, and like an idiot, I just kind of trickled my fingers in the water a bit, and it was probably filthy and gross and germy, but I was just, like, cooling off really nicely. Small World is a good, like, okay, we just did some intense rides, it's hot as Hades, no pun intended, we need a little break, so I appreciate Small World. Okay. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Now, here's the, I love the Mr. Toad short, and I was excited for this one. I think it's a little disappointing. There's two things that kind of hold it back, in my opinion. Number one, it is called Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, so you'd expect it to move rather fast. Because those dark rides, like, have so much in the visual spectacle as opposed to loop-de-loops and huge drops, you don't really get to take in the ambiance of the sets they build. And for that matter, I don't feel it does a very good job replicating the Mr. Toad cartoon in that they draw some, like, incidental background characters. Like, I think there's, like, a cop and some, like, thugs in the streets of London that you come across these big drawings of. And they do not match the art style of that short. They don't look like classic Disney cartoon incidentals. And Mr. Toad, you know, the characters that, I guess because it's a short, they don't have a ton of character designs to pull from, so Bozo the intern just, like, drew whatever. I don't mean to be mean. there's still like Mr. Winky and the Weasels and that great judge character I recognized, but I don't, I didn't feel quite as taken in by the magic of that ride the way I was some of the other dark rides. That feels so cool in that you're experiencing like the 3D version of that movie. There's some very pretty paintings and some like nice ambiance of Toad Hall as you're getting in the ride. This one, honestly, kind of a letdown. I would call it like C tier, unfortunately. Um, Miss Peter Pan's Flight is next. Oh man. So there's one attraction in Disney that I think is technically I had more fun with it than on Peter Pan's Flight. But it's also a much newer attraction, and I don't consider it fair, really, to put them on the same scale. So on a purely... with that in mind, Peter Pan's Flight is probably my favorite ride at Disney. And by pure serendipity, it was like the last thing we rode. We were like, yeah, it's like 11, we're just about ready to call it a night. But we were like, come on, Peter Pan's Flight is like a 30-minute wait, we can do this. We're like, alright! And I'm so glad we did. I love the rickety boats that are kind of suspended. I love, oh man, when you fly over London and all those stars are shining, it is genuinely, like, breathtaking. It is so freaking good. Oh man, also biased here, because I don't know if Peter Pan's maybe in my top 10 Disney movies, but it has a lot of my favorite Disney character. That's Captain Hook. Peter Pan's Flight is S tier. It is the only ride in S tier that shares that distinction with one other. And it's the newer ride that I consider a little unfair. Pinocchio's Daring Journey. Did we get to... Because I feel like there was some issue. Maybe this one was closed too. Did we get on Pinocchio's Daring Journey? No, we did. I think we did. Or maybe... Because I'm looking at images, because we rode a lot of those dark rides at the animatronics. I definitely distinctly remember doing Alice in Wonderland. I mean, I would give this one... Oh, here's a Stromboli animatronic that I'm having a hard time recalling seeing in person. I know it sounds like, what, this trip was last month. What do you mean you don't remember? We did a lot of rides, and there's a lot of animatronics. I don't know what to tell you, bud. This one looks like it's pretty solid, I'm sure it's just as high quality as the other animatronic dark rides. Speaking of which, we've got... Snow White's Enchanted Wish. Again, it's just cool to see these scenes. There's something about, something about the animatronics attached to these particularly older Disney characters that's very, very cool. Because the old school Pinocchio, Snow White are so fluidly animated and drawn with so much life that, beg your pardon, that, it feels very gratifying to step in. Like, if they did a dark ride like this with a CGI Disney movie, I feel like it'd be like, this isn't giving me a different scope the way seeing, like, the Seven Dwarves and Stromboli in full, like, dimension absolutely does. And Snow White gets that same quality, gets all the same points, no notes. That takes us to... Okay, there's the Casey Jr. Circus train, and it's cute! I rode in the monkey cart. Awesome. No notes. Alice in Wonderland. Again, another animatronic dark ride. I think what sets... This is the first ride we rode. It was just the first one that was open, it was the first one we hopped into, and it's very, very cool. I do think maybe the world of Alice, again, those characters in 3D... puts it a cut above, and then the fact that it's the Alice characters who are so, outlandish and strange that really, really, sets it apart. So I would, and like I said, I saw it, and I was like, Will, is this, like, for grown-ups? Like, it had been so long since, I had even been to Disney, And to my surprise, it was just like a very cool showcase of animatronics, and it's awesome. That one's great. That one's all. I'd say that one's second to Peter Pan among the dark rides. That one's very cool. Um, hmm, sorry. Okay. Add a few things. I see. Okay. Yeah, I was a little. I heard because I feel like we did the Snow White ride. And again, I'm getting my animatronics mixed up. I heard a Snow White ride had closed, like a scary or spooky adventure. But maybe it was just rebranded as Enchanted Wish. It is what it is. I'm not going to do a full-on deep dive live on webcam with you guys. Someone's going to correct me. Matterhorn bobsleds. I really like, the whole Swiss Alps aesthetic, the whole Appalachian mountain deal. This is another kind of like Mr. Toad that just went a little too fast for me to really appreciate it. The Yeti is cool. It's a B tier. This takes us to Tomorrowland. So there's Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. That one's really cool. I think it captures it sounds kind of like it doesn't feel like a Buzz Lightyear ride, but a Buzz Lightyear toy ride. The characters are detailed in a way that makes them look very toyetic, in a way that's very, very fun. The cardboard cutouts with the art is very cool. For something that I can only imagine was made in the 2000s or so, because it had to have been made after Toy Story 2, it doesn't feel in any way obtrusive or out of place among the other dark rides, besides the shooting aspect, which works because it's Buzz Lightyear, so of course there is. The only side note is that it's kind of attached to Pizza Planet, which isn't a very good restaurant. I didn't necessarily love my meal at Pizza Planet. It was a little cheap and a little crappy. Dinner was in the New Orleans section. It was delightful. It was this great decadent mac and cheese with brisket and pimento cheese, and it was wonderful. Chef's kiss, no notes. Astro Blasters, awesome. Space Mountain, this is another that I just felt went by really fast. We got a priceless photo. I like Space Mountain. It's very dark, and it is another that's just it's a little harder to appreciate the ambiance when it's A, dark, and B, fast. So, if you're gonna be fast, you can be outdoors like Big Thunder or Splash Mountain. But I think kind of the shared folly of Space Mountain and why am I blanking? The toboggans, the Matterhorn toboggans, that it's dark and it's hard to appreciate much. But it's cool, it's fun. B tier. That's all we really did in Tomorrowland. Oh, Autopia. I think Autopia is probably the worst ride at Disney. It's just kind of like it doesn't really have a concept besides, what if there were cars? I guess it's a bit of a miracle they weren't repainted to look like Lightning McQueen or something. Yeah. I think that's the one. I had small complaints about the other. This is the one ride where I'm I just don't care to do that again. sorry, Autopia fans. I don't know what to tell you. The cars move super slow and it's just not very exciting. The last couple, we've got the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. You get to team up with Holdo, voiced by Jim Cummings from Clone Wars. It's super cool. It was our party of four, our four-friend group, and then a mom and her son. And you get put in these groups of 6 where everyone gets a role, and you kind of have to control the ship. And it's a very, very cool interactive ride. I thought it was super. It's great. Star Wars, I think, I was a little ready to dismiss Galaxy's Edge as just it's the new thing, it doesn't quite have the same Disney magic. They pull it off pretty well. I say that, it's just hard to imagine a Star Wars park in, Disney World, where I kind of had cut my teeth a bit. So Millennium Falcon, that one came out really well. Here's the big boy, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. This is like I said, my favorite outside of Galaxy's Edge is Peter Pan's Flight. And comparing Peter Pan's Flight to Rise of the Resistance, doesn't really make sense, because Rise of the Resistance is obviously much more high concept and much more technologically advanced in a literal physical sense. I do not I do not think I've ever been on a ride as impressive as Rise of the Resistance. It is genuinely like I thought it was over several times. I was like, "Oh, that was cool." They're like, "No, we're going this way," because you get shuttled on a ship that gets captured by the First Order. I don't know when this ride opened. Looks like because Kylo Ren is still. It was opened in 2019. So that was with Rise of Skywalker, but it must have been like developed before that movie came out. Just by virtue of how time works, and also that Kylo Ren is still the bad guy. And you get like shuttled into these prison cells, you get saved by the good guys, you get put in this cart that moves you around as you're escaping the First Order base. It is chef's kiss. Like, I have these, like, sometimes my folks would take me on business trips when I was like a little nugget, because I couldn't be left home alone or anything. And I remember how it felt to be in an immersive attraction, like a theme park or a themed restaurant. I have this bizarrely formative memory of like a space alien themed restaurant where everyone was made up like an alien, and finding that to be so bizarre as like a little kid. And it's something I've wanted to recapture in a weird way. I'm not trying to sound like I'm waxing nostalgic for this random restaurant in probably New York or Vegas, but it's one of those things where it's like when you're a kid and you walk into Rainforest Cafe or an alien restaurant or a Disney attraction, your disbelief kind of disconnects. And Rise of the Resistance did that for me as an adult. And as kind of grumpy as I could be about, oh, the Disney Star Wars isn't very good and it's all corporate, da da da. Like, anyone who's close to me knows that for the first two films of the sequel trilogy, Rey was like my favorite character. She was like one of my big people, one of my big comfort characters. And then Rise of Skywalker was just like such a fucking piece of shit that I kind of like tried to distance myself. But there's a point in Rise of the Resistance where Rey like shows up on a hologram and it's Daisy Ridley giving you a little monologue, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the person I like really liked in those movies. It's the performance and the hero who's exuding all this charisma and leadership. It felt amazing, and that ride is awesome. So Rise of the Resistance, absolute S tier. It is awesome. We didn't get to stick around for any parades, sadly, but I'd really like to. So I guess kind of the weird the weird blanks I want to rant. Like, I remember, I guess as we were walking out, the electrical parade was going, and it's pretty as all get out. This music is catchy. We had to just get back to our car, though. It was like midnight or so. I think I saw Fantasmic as a kid, but I don't quite. There's definitely something with. I feel like I saw Fantasmic as a kid in Disney. If they do it in World, if it didn't happen in World, it must have just been something else with like Maleficent and some other stuff. Yeah, no, so I guess the two, if I almost want to go back to World now, just to directly compare that current lineup, because it's been so long. What I directly remember from World is there was the Bill Nye and Ellen DeGeneres Dark Ride. I remember that, I feel like it's themed with either Goofy or Mickey, a ride where it's like a barnyard, and you go through like a roof kind of fast, and there's like a big quilt theater showing cartoons, Country Bear Hall, all that good stuff. Sure. I have some rabbit holes to Google later. Mundane corporate nostalgia, what can I say? So, like I said, I just kind of want to throw this together because I just need a little extra time to get my shit together and power through a few things I'm dealing with, Nothing like majorly crucial. Some of the time I've had off has been super fun. I went to Costa Rica. That was a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and some of the time I have to have off, not so fun, sorry. It's all good, though. I'll try and get some Toast and Roast out before this month is done. And then August, it'll probably be a new Little Things. And then I've got, like, a few projects lined up that I'm super amped for. and I'm excited to really put the time into with some of this craziness behind me. So thanks for listening. Leave the things I'm wrong about in the comments below. Maybe unlock some memories, and yeah, have a good one. Thank you.